It's Monday, August 13th, and you're listening to the Geek at Geek News Central show number 790, sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com. Our August special for all new and existing GoDaddy customers. Save 20% off your order using promo code GO20 off too. I've got a great show lined up for you tonight, so much and so that I'm afraid that we may see, as Dale says it in the chat room tonight, we may see an auto reboot. I got a computer that's barely hanging on here. So you know what comes next. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right. I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha and welcome to Geek News Central, coming to you as live as it can be from the beautiful state of Hawaii via the Geek News Central studio overlooking Greater Honolulu. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Of course, my name is Todd Cochran, and I want to encourage you, when you get a chance, to get over to geeknewscentral.com. Check out all our great content. Of course, you want to get subscribed to the podcast, you can do that via the second column of the website. There's a link there to get signed up for the newsletter as well. The newsletter contains all the stuff I'm going to cover during the show tonight that's emailed directly to you following the show. So that way you'll have all of the show notes of everything that has been covered. Of course, you can visit gncshownotes.com to get the show notes for the show. And let's hopefully some kids will answer the phone here. My wife, I know, is not feeling well. You know, they got it. 2 rings. Not bad tonight. That seems, with my mother-in-law here, all of the aunties and uncles are calling to get their last dibs in. This is their last week. So they're trying to get in and get out and see her and everything. So normally it's pretty quiet around here in the evening, but it hasn't been this past week. But anyway, where I left off, hey, if you're new to the show, thanks for checking us out. And thanks for really consider watching the show or listening to us. I'm going to cover a lot of tech tonight. We got a whole stack of stuff. And of course, I've got some personal stuff to go through, basically kind of my initial start to the show that I always do every night. But as always, if you have comments on today's show, I'm real easy to connect up with. All you got to do is reach out on Twitter at Geek News is the Twitter account. Of course, you can email the show 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at geeknews@gmail.com. And our voicemail hotline, 619-342-7365, is there as well for your utilization if you so feel that you would like to use it. If you're basically checking out the show for the first time, we really can consume this thing any place, anywhere, anytime. Roku, Boxy, Samsung Smart TV, Google TV, on the Tech Podcast channel on those devices. And of course, you can subscribe and watch just by accessing the website as well. So don't forget to get subscribed. That way you'll never miss a single episode of the show. As always, the live audio stream is up right now, along with the live video stream. So no matter how you're connecting to us tonight, if you're watching live, thanks for being here and being part of the family. Hey, let's take care of a little business here before we get into the kind of the lineup of what's been going on. And I want to take just a moment. I want to, this summer has been nuts. And actually, we're going to talk about a little later in the show about what this crazy summer has affected our grocery prices. We'll get into that a little later. But, this summer, if you're in business, your team will probably be working from different locations. And if you're on vacation or you're out at the beach, it doesn't matter. If you're away from the office, it really, what that really means is you're away from the office, but business just does not stop. It continues. And that's why I recommend and why I personally use GoToMeeting. And you can meet online with clients and colleagues from anywhere. I had a meeting with a group out of Detroit this morning, and I actually did it from my kids' school parking lot. So, I'm on my way to drop the kids off. My phone rings. It's Angelo. He said, "Hey, we just got an email from a certain client. They want to meet. I'm like, get a GoToMeeting session started up. I'll grab my iPad out of the bag and drop the kids off and pulled into an available parking spot. Started the meeting and boom, right there I was in the meeting with the entire group. We were able to do whatever we were going to do. And the team in Detroit was pretty impressed because it was morning time here in Honolulu. And they're like, you're in your car? I'm like, yeah, but don't worry. We can do this anywhere, anytime. And GoToMeeting by Citrix allows you to collaborate really on files and plans online like we did this morning and with HD Faces. And that was what was cool. They could see me and I could see them. And even so many miles separated us, you just need a webcam to turn your online meetings into a group HD video conference. You can even participate in HD Faces meeting from your iPad like I did. So you can connect again wherever you are, vacation, beach, park, or dropping the kids off at school like I am. And yes, the kids are back in school in Honolulu, have been for 2 weeks. I love GoToMeeting, and that's one of the reasons why. It's super powerful. So this summer, let's work smarter, okay? And I'm going to give you a real quick way how you can try this application out. This is fantastic. You go over to GoToMeeting.com, and you basically click on the Try It Free button and use the promo code podcast. Now, you get a free 30-day trial. Don't wait for the special offer. Again, visit GoToMeeting.com, click on the orange Try It Free button, and then use the promo code podcast during your sign up. That'll get you access to that free 30-day code. Again, don't forget the promo code podcast. We want to thank GoToMeeting for being a sponsor here at Geek News Central, and one of our fine sponsors that helps us keep the lights on and keep things moving forward. I tell you, got a lot to cover here tonight, and we'll keep on moving quickly as I can so that we can get into the full content. Went to a home show on Sunday, and every third booth was a solar company. Hawaii is it's just like you see every place solar going up, and they've got several new plans here where people can rent to own. And it's kind of a weird deal, and they don't call it rent to own, they call it leasing. And what leasing happens is they'll come in, they'll figure out how many kilowatts you're using per month on an average basis across the year. They'll install the system, and whatever they built for you, you end up paying them on basically for that system's build. And it basically can boil down to being about 20 cents per kilowatt. Now, as you guys know, here in Honolulu, I think we paid 38 cents. So it's not quite half price. So it's an option for if you don't want to spend the 42 grand to go and get the system installed yourself and then, deal with the rebates, which are awesome. Don't get me wrong. But the prices have come down. The guy pulled my account from one company we talked to, and he said that the price was down like 22% since we talked last time. And I thought tariffs had kicked in, but it turns out it's only on the Chinese panels. So all the American companies making panels have not been affected, especially, and even ones coming out of Korea haven't been affected either. So, well, we're going to have a couple of vendors in, and my wife really likes this lease deal, but I'm not the type of guy that likes to be beholden to someone because you sign a 20-year contract. The thing that scares me about this is okay, so example, they're going to charge you 20 cents a kilowatt now. And basically what they say is they will increase the price of the per monthly charge by 3% a year. So, you look at that and you multiply that out by multiple years. And while 20 cents a kilowatt and you do a 30% increase, well, that takes you up to 20.6 cents a kilowatt, right? So it compounds, and that's the thing that scares me about those types of deals is the following year, it's going to go up 0.618. So, you got 20.6 and all of a sudden the second year you're paying, 21 and a quarter, and you're like, okay, so how long is it going to take me to get back 36 cents? Well, they're saying, well, here in Hawaii, the price of power has traditionally went up 6% a year. So you're going to stay ahead of it anyway. And I'm just like, no, I don't know. And it all bases on that tax rebate. So I'm going to have to get the paper again and look and go talk with the accountant and see what we can do. But I was surprised that this rent to own or leasing solar panels on your home is kind of a weird deal, but it's perfect for these guys because they finance the whole thing and then they just cash in, and it's a long-term it's a big moneymaker for them over a number of years. So you can sell the house, it'll go with the house, transfer the lease and everything. But anyway, that was kind of a cool thing at the home show, plus a whole bunch of other stuff. Device inventory. How many of you got kids where you have to do a device inventory every evening? We got to the point here where we're now doing device inventories at night. Turn in the iTouch. Where's the iPad? Where's this? Where's that? Because they're sneaking off to the rooms with their devices, and we don't allow usage of devices in rooms. They have to be in the living room, on a computer, or somewhere in our vision. But even cell phones too. Or maybe I'm hardcore, but after 9 o'clock, no devices, and at least no devices in their rooms. Now, if they're in the living room and it's, they're allowed to if it's doing homework or whatever. But how many of you doing device inventory in your house? Do you have devices disappearing? You're like, where did that go? And it turns out it's been in your kid's room for 3 or 4 days. Teenagers could be a dangerous thing. I did get an update on our back ordered secondary streamer, our parts, not to the end of the month. So we're going to be down on the secondary stream at least until the end of the month. We'll keep our fingers crossed on that, but working on some alternatives to bring the secondary stream up. Hey, Saturday Morning Tech, we went off without a hitch. I had Rob on for a little while. Then we had one of our writers come in. Andrew came in from Belfast, UK, and basically joined us. And so I had a great time talking with Andrew, and I hope I got his location right. If I blew that, I'm sorry. But he was on and shared what's going on over there and talked about some of the great topics that was going on tech last week. So definitely check out Saturday Morning Tech. And if you're not subscribed, please do so. Along with Gadget Professor, Don's doing some great stuff. If you haven't watched the show lately, you definitely want to check that out. And of course, Robot Underpants as well. Okay, let's. I think I've gotten through my whole stack of stuff here. We'll take care of one last sponsor message, and then we'll get into the full blown tech here, because I got a whole bunch of stuff to talk with you. And one thing that's a little bit of a pet peeve that I'll share as well. Hey, this month I got a special offer here. Okay, so if you're a customer or a new customer, GoDaddy's going to give you 20% off your order. Okay, this is huge. This is for the entire order. Doesn't matter what you spend. You spend $5, you spend $20, you spend $500. They're going to give you 20% off by using the promo code Go20 off 2. And all you got to do is when you're over at geeknewscentral.com, you're going to find basically on the show notes, you're going to find a link there that's got the special for the month. You just click that. It's going to load the GoDaddy page. It's going to lock in your savings. And go in and just, find some stuff, pick it up, domain names, hosting accounts, different types of web tools, lots of ways to save there. And I actually won a great domain via an auction a couple days ago. I got podcastsupport.com, ka-ching, score. And, I buy domains and trade them, and, it's kind of a little sideline for me. But definitely check it out. Of course, we got codes for everybody. And all you got to do is click on go to geeknewscentral.com. And then click on the old geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. You'll find all my codes there, and there's just a pile of them for you to use. Different percentages to save off, different discounts. ComSale get you $7.99.coms. ComSale 3 will get you .com renewals at $8.49. Central will get you $10 off any order $50 or more. Aloha will save you $20 off an order of $75. So play with the codes and see which one is going to save you the most money. And that's the most important thing. And we want to thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here. You guys keep on supporting them because they help us in a big way and keep the lights on here and basically help me make sure there's food on the table over there. So your continued support of GoDaddy is greatly appreciated, along with GoToMeeting as well. So we want to thank both those sponsors for supporting the show here. All right, let me go ahead and load up the whole, man, I got a stack. I have a stack. And you know what? I've been getting emails from people. Thanks for the longer shows. I'm like, people are gluttons for punishment. I want to start off by tonight just sharing with you a story. And I'm not going to, I guess for a better word, this company, I don't know anything about it beyond this story because I'm not a customer of theirs. But there's a story over on mattfisher.tumblr.com. Again, this is non-techie, But something I want you guys to pay attention to, and I want to share a little personal experience with you. But he's got a very tragic story here about Progressive, and basically a couple of people were killed in an automobile accident, and their own insurance company defended the person that was in the vehicle that killed her. He ended up being convicted, but Progressive Insurance, who was their insurance company, was the people that were in the car that got killed, that were innocent. Progressive, this is incredible. Progressive paid for the defense of the person that killed her. So I'm just going to have this up in the show notes tonight for you to check out. I want to just tell you, you guys know that I lost my dad, essentially hit by a train. Uh, we don't know the full circumstances, but he drove onto the track. My niece was with him, suffered massive injuries, was intensive care for many months. Still to this day, has been affected. Has had as recent as last year major surgery. So my sister's full time job has been, since my dad died, has been dealing with these, and I have to keep the show child safe, but I would be able to use a set of expletives that were 20 25 words long, but these insurance companies, all of them, not just the one we just talked about, but all of them are, in my personal opinion, rotten to the core. I really do not like how insurance companies treat people from when there's been a major, a major incident. My sister, the only reason she has been able to pay for medical bills and everything else is involved, and she didn't go after um, the train company. That wasn't whose insurance has paid any of it. It's my dad's insurance, who was insuring him at the time of the accident. He lost his life, but still my niece was with him, and his insurance was insurance that has been a huge challenge. And um, my sister probably could do 100 hours on tactics, way to talk to insurance agents, what to keep documentation of, and so forth. But when you go out and get insurance, make sure you ask lots of questions. Don't go for the cheapest thing. Be careful what you're buying and who you're buying from. It really does matter to a certain extent. And then after that, all of them are trying to save money. But if you haven't taken a look at your personal insurance situation in a while, please do, especially your automobile insurance. Here in Hawaii, we have no fault. So basically, I'm covering me and my family. And that for me is when I know that I'm covering myself, I'm not having to worry about someone else to cover my family. You have a tendency to buy a little better insurance policy on your vehicle. Now, that's not to say that these beep, 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 beeps are not going to pay. It can be ugly. And I'll have this link up in the show notes and just gives you a taste of what one family went through. And I'm sure all of you have had your own horror stories about insurance companies. Okay, let's switch into a more tech topic. There's I was on Google Plus last night, and I was linked to a guy. Basically, this guy said his blog post was basically written up and said unexpected beat kicking. And he actually wrote this early in the month on August 2nd. It's Joel Run. So basically, Joel RUNYON.com. And he wrote up he was sitting in a Starbucks, and he was working on his MacBook Air. And, he was at a coffee shop. He didn't say it was Starbucks, but he was working, having some Joe and working on his a MacBook. And an elderly gentleman, about 80 years old, sat down next to him. He basically says to him, he says, "Do you like Apple?" As he gestured to the new MacBook Air he picked up a few days prior. He said, the guy responded, "Yes, I've been using it for a while." And so he starts to wonder if he was going to get suckered into a Mac versus PC debate in a Portland coffee shop with an elderly stranger. The guy replies, "Do you program on them?" He says, "Well, I don't really know how to code, but I write quite a bit and spend a lot of time creating online projects and helping clients in their business." And he said, "I've been a Macintosh company lately. They've been trying to get everyone to use that." Oh no, the guy responded, "I've been against Macintosh company lately. They're trying to get everyone to use iPads, and when people use iPads, they end up just using technology to consume things instead of making things. With a computer, you can make things. You can code, you can make things and create things that have never existed and do things that have never been done before." He said, the problem with a lot of people," he continued. "They don't try to do stuff that's never been done before, so they never do anything. But if they try to do it, they'll find out there's a lot of things they can do that have never been done before." So this guy's thinking, "Wow, who the heck is this guy?" So, the guy turned back to his coffee and took a sip, and he said, and I'm reading from this site, he says, "In fact, I've done a lot of things um, that haven't done before," he said, half smiling. And the guy says, "Oh, really? Like what?" He said, "I invented the first computer." The guy that was sitting with his Mac said, "Excuse me?" He said, "I created the world's first internally programmable computer. It used to take up space as about as big as this whole room, and my wife and I used to walk into it to program it." He says, "What's your name?" He says, "My name's Russell Kirsch." Folks, Google this guy, Russell Kirsch, Kirsch. And I'll be the first to admit, I may have read something about this guy before, but yeah, he indeed invented the world's first internally programmable computer, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. And so, this whole story goes on. And he left this guy with a quote. And I want you guys to go and read the whole thing too, and read the rest of the story. And this quote, man, just kind of smacked me in the face. And I think ever since my accident in 2004, I've been a doer, wanting to do things, try new things, build new things. And that's kind of been a quest. And I maybe haven't been as questful as I wanted to lately. But he says, "I guess I've always believed that nothing is withheld from us what we have conceived to do. Most people think the opposite, that all things are withheld from them which they have conceived to do, and they end up doing nothing." So let me read that again to you. "I guess I've always believed that nothing is withheld from us what we have conceived to do. Most people think the opposite, that all things are withheld from them which they have conceived to do, and they end up doing nothing." He said, "Who said that?" And the guy replies, "God did." And the guy said, "What?" He said, "God said it, and there were only two people who believed it. You know who?" The guy says, "Nope, God and me. So I went out and did it." So anyway, this guy, and to get this quote, he said that God had said this quote to him. So, take that for, that at face value. But if you think about what this guy said here, is that what he's essentially implying is, if you think of something, it doesn't mean that it hasn't been done before. It means it maybe hasn't. Maybe it's an original idea. You need to go out and do it. Do things that have never been done before. And this is from the guy who invented the computer. And I sit there and I read this. You're going to have to go read it yourself, but I read this about 10 times and wrapping my small brain around what this guy said. And I have to agree with the conclusion that this writer came up with. I'm not going to argue with the guy inventing the computer. And pretty incredible write-up. And let you guys, I have this link up in the show notes. You guys need to read this. It's Blog of Impossible Things, joelrunyon.com. And it's true. You ever thought about something? Said, that would be cool. That could be original idea. You may not be the first person to think about it, but you actually might be the first person to act upon it. we're so often so constrained, thinking, someone's already done that. I'm not going to do that. So, I agree. Time to step it up, folks. This is cool. And maybe you won't get as much out of this, and but this guy messed with my brain a little bit, and I'm glad this guy was at this coffee shop because you never know when you're going to run into someone that's going to influence you, and in the way things in things that you do or could do. So it's interesting. I'd like to hear a little more about where he got that, where that landed in his brain, what the whole context of that was. But pretty cool. What you think? Geeknews@gmail.com. Voicemail hotline is 619-342-7365. Love to hear your thoughts on this specific topic. 'Cause I think it's a pretty poignant one. I really do. And I'm just glad I was able to see the link. It's a great read, and I actually printed part of the article out and I shared it with my kids. It's basically the two older ones. We were in the car and driving to school this morning, and I'm like, "Read this," and my son and he's like, "Oh," and you can see I could see his brain. I said, "You messing with your head, isn't it?" He said, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay, let your sister read it." And she read it, and then we talked about it for 15 minutes. So, pretty cool. And maybe I'm overreacting. I just thought it was fantastic. I really did. How many of you are living in Droughtland? Those of you that are, I'd love to have you call the show. Love to tell me how bad it is in your area. How dry is it where you listen to this show? And are you worried? I'd love to hear your feedback because there is it's bad out there in many parts of the country. We talked about this a couple times already, and I just think it's going to be worse than what they're saying it is, based on everything that is being indicated. Now, my mom, in the area that she lives in, they have had a little bit of relief, and they haven't had as much. They've had some more rain, so that's helped them. But I know the rest of the country may not be in as good a shape. But good article on Forbes, and probably the most underreported story of the year. All right, let's roll on here. How many of you know about Emo? IMO. Emo is an application for the iOS that they've rolled out free voice calling, and of course it was used before with texting and so forth. But if you haven't checked out Emo, please do so, and give it a try. One thing I noticed today is I have sometimes I need to. I was testing a Skype connection. I may have a trip coming up soon. So I was testing forwarding my cell phone into my Skype number, and then I was dialing with another phone. And, the Skype application on the iPhone is broke. It doesn't ring. If you have the app loaded, it'll ring and you'll hear it. But if you're in a separate section of the device and the different part of the interface, it doesn't pop up and let you know it's ringing. I was just like, oh man, because it works out real well when you're traveling internationally to be able to use Skype as call forward your regular number to your Skype number, and that way you do a digital call instead of a landline call. Saves you a lot of money. So I don't know why it doesn't work. And I was trying to read up on it. No one seems to have a fix. If you've seen this issue and you got a fix, love to hear from you. Tell me what it is. All right, Google Plus has appeased the audio fanatics out there with a new studio mode for hanging out on air. And so basically, this is a new option that it optimizes audio for music rather than speech, resulting in a rich, clear sound that you get with a standard voice mode. Musicians simply select studio mode under settings, and other members of the Hangout don't have to do anything else, of course. But got this article over on Engadget. They're talking about this. So If you're a musician doing stuff on Google Plus, this is a new option for you. Of course, the Olympics closed last night. We sit around here and watch the closing ceremonies. Oh, kind of boring. They did have, the Who came on later. That was pretty cool. They had Spice Girls and stuff. But, the news today is all about the digital space and what happened. The BBC themselves had huge numbers. They had an average of 9.5 million global daily uniques to the BBC Sports website. Video requests were doubled from those seen during any previous event, 106 million higher than the 2008 games, 32 million higher than the 2010 World Cup. A third of the visits came from mobile, but only a tenth of the video requests were mobile, which is interesting. The majority of video requests, 62 million, were for live stream. Only 8 million for on-demand live streams. 35 million were for short-form clips. And the BBC, which adapts streams quality to viewers' bandwidth, saying that the average bit rate, the highest the BBC has ever delivered, was at 1 meg. So most folks were getting about an average of 1 meg streaming. And they have a pretty good chart that shows the usage across time for the whole event. And pretty equal between connected TVs, tablets, and mobile. And then computers were higher, but still, tablet usage peaked between 20 and 2200, which is probably people are kicked back in their sofas watching the television, also having a tablet on hand. So pretty interesting viewership trends, and this just gives you an idea of the percentages and so forth. So have that up for you to take a peek at. Can't wait till we continue to conquer the world with this online live streaming bit. I saw there's been huge news about this supposed iPhone that's going to be released in September. And if this is not the real deal, this is a pretty elaborate hoax. And the person that did it, major kudos to them. But I'm looking at this supposed new iPhone 5. And if it's really the real deal, and if this is not a decoy, if this is the real phone, Apple has blown it. Let's face it. How many of you are playing with other phones now with these bigger screens? I want a bigger screen. I really do. I want it wider. I really want a bigger screen. And if they're not going to a bigger screen, if they're going to something a little taller, I'll be highly disappointed. I really will. Because it doesn't look wider, and it does look a little taller, but I just wish there was a wider iPhone at this point. And I guess Apple knows best, but I'm hoping this is a hoax, and I hope when the new iPhone is introduced, it's considerably wider. And if it isn't, a lot of cool Samsung Galaxies out there. Absolutely. It might be time to abandon ship when it comes to Apple and the iPhone. And, I hate to do that as much as I've invested, but they really, it's the line has become kind of yawny, kind of stagnant. And last year's offering was pretty lackluster. And they're really going to have to step their game up, or they're going to get their butts kicked. They really are. People love the iPhone, but they want, they want it. They want more features. They want a little more sexy design. And at least in my opinion, they want a little bigger phone. And it doesn't have to be a lot bigger. Just give me more screen real estate. I'm getting older. I don't like putting on my glasses to read the phone. That sucks. It really does. So, hey, I want to thank the folks that are in the chat room. Thanks, guys, for hanging out tonight. I know it's late in your areas. Thanks for coming out. There's a great article over on CNET, and it's actually way too long to even almost try to even summarize. I'm not kidding you. This is about a 15-minute read, and it's talk about the coming wireless spectrum apocalypse and how it hits you. And this is specifically focusing on small carriers, like folks like C Spire Wireless, which is a small southern wireless provider, formerly known as Cellular South, and a variety of other different small cell companies. And they talk about the challenges they're running into in getting gear and being able to have phones made that will fit their set of spectrum in the 700 megahertz range that's a little bit outside of what both Verizon and AT&T does. They're having huge challenges and feel that they could be at some point here in the near future squeezed out. They could be put out of business purely by the lack of phones and the lack of equipment to operate in the spectrum that they have reserved in their areas. And they've put forth a huge chunk of change for these regional spectrum buys. So we'll see where this goes, but lawsuits are flying, and the FCC and stuff are involved. There's huge consequences for all of us on these markets are being more concentrated and monopolies put forth. So if you're thinking about, here in Hawaii, my kids are not traveling yet, so I'm thinking a local carrier to get a little cheaper phone, pay as you go type of thing, and so support your local carriers when you can. Okay. On Friday, Google announced this that they're going to become the copyright cop. And they've decided that they're going to punish sites it deems to be violating copyright by signals it receives from copyright holders. This has the web talking. A lot of people are like, oh my goodness, they're now going to be copyright cops. I wrote a pretty good piece on this, and I want to just share with you an experience that happened. I think I talked to you a little bit about it on the previous show. The day that Curiosity landed, I was basically live. We had some folks on. I took about 90 seconds of that segment of them just before landing and right after. And I included that in one of the videos that I posted. Not less than 24 hours after that video went on YouTube, I received no less than 5 notices of copyright infringement by multiple news agencies that all claim that that segment of video from NASA belonged to them. So, they're claiming copyright on video produced by NASA JPL. And my brain literally exploded. I was so pissed. Because what it was is those companies weren't claiming copyright. It was Google's automated system basically saying, Todd, you're not the owner of that segment. That belongs to NBC. That belongs to CBS. It belongs to blah, 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 blah. And you're in violation. And no, I wasn't. We were all legally using that video segment because, so long as you don't wrap copyright around advertising, overlaying on top of the actual spot, you're okay. So first thing you got to do is you got to go respond to them, say, no, that's not a copyright violation. It's fair use, blah, and you just, it's such a waste of time because some computer has said you're violating. Google don't care. And so this is no telling how these signals are going to affect my account, but I know that Geek News Central is going to be fine. But if these things are just automatically clicking in, and you're getting a copyright violation because of stupidity, it won't be long before we're all being penalized and having legitimate content on our websites and fair use. That's a word that is in journalism and is in blogging. You use a segment of something, you attribute it, you quote it, you link back to it. That's fair use. And there's no longer fair use for Google. Their system has no way of telling who really owns the material. I'm not alone in this. Another guy had the same exact thing happen to him over at, what's the website? ctnewsjunkie.com. This guy had the same thing. Same exact thing happened to him. And, this guy's mad. He's got a pretty popular video show on YouTube, but he's locked out. He's not going to earn any earnings on that because other right holders, and he's got to wait up to 30 days for this to clear. And so it just, it's wrong. It really is. And on top of that, and let's, we're talking about this being having them be copyright police. I understand people that are putting movies and audio and putting those up on directly on their websites and making them available for download from their own domains. That's wrong. But here we are, news sites and so forth. They can't even put content out without getting a warning. You're violating. So there's 7 reasons why Google's making a mistake in filtering search. And this is straight from Tech Dirt. This is the first change to Google's rankings that isn't in the best interest of its users. Number 2, it's admitting that it's willing to cave to the interests of business rather than users, which will lead to more such demands. Matter of fact, immediately, the RIAA and PAA said that's not enough. You have to do more. Again, and this is number 3. It's never enough. The industry always wants more. The MPAA and RIAA are not satisfied. They'll continue to press Google to even more. Google's defense and antitrust cases just got that much more difficult. This is going to harm new innovations. It's going to harm shows like this one. It is already. I'm already so paranoid about putting any type of video clip up in the show that I'm restraining because I know I'm going to get hammered if I do, and stuff that I'd like to report on and show you guys. And those of you listening, the audio experience, we try to mix that in too. So this is going to continue to harm innovation. This may hold back other search engines. And number 7, here's the thing that what it really boils down to. This is not going to hold back infringement at all. You cut off the head of one thing, 5 others pop up. It's not going to help. It won't. It can't. The net is too big. It is a wild, wild west out there. I'm going to tell you. You can find anything and everything on the internet, sadly. But, it's not going to help. It's going to make no difference. None. None. Mark my words. It's not going to change nothing. Now, not only that, moving on to another topic here, television stations are ripping people off. A blogger is at jimromensko.com. Basically, he's reporting on a guy by the name of Michael McKinson, who runs a website covering Tucson's cycling community. He posted a story and video a couple months ago about an elementary school installing a bicycle track. Yesterday, the local station, KOLD.TV, ran a story about the track and included his footage in the piece. He was not contacted by the station to use the footage, nor was any credit for the footage provided. They just used it. And not only that, when the video went up on YouTube, guess who got claimed as copyright owner? Yeah, the TV station. So this guy is pissed. So what he's done is he said, I did about 3 hours of work putting that video together. If you feel my time's worth $100 an hour, he sent Tucson television station KOLD.TV an invoice for $300. Said, pay me. The news director says I'm looking into it. But what happened to integrity in journalism? What happened to people, to companies giving attribution to stuff? Well, what it is these staffs have been cut so bad, there's no one there to do any. We can get away with it. We'll play it for this, 20 seconds. A guy will never find out. Well, because all this stuff gets put to YouTube and everywhere else, he may not have seen it live, but guess what? He may have seen it later or gotten the notice. He's violating his own copyright. So, they want their cake and they're going to eat it too, folks. They play by a whole different set of rules. Over on Slate, what happened when our cell phones can predict our every move? Did you know your cell phone knows where you've been? Most of us have our geo stuff turned on. And a team of British researchers developed an algorithm that uses tracking data on people's phones to predict where they'll be in 24 hours. The average error, just 20 meters. We are creatures of habit. Unless you have something weird going on, you're leaving from your house, you're going to work, you're sitting in your cubicle or stall or place of business, doing business, and then leaving work at that same time, driving to get groceries and driving home. But they feel that they can predict where you're at. That's some scary stuff. This research solved the problem by combining tracking data from individual participants' phones with tracking data from their friends, other people other people in their mobile phone books. By looking how an individual's movement correlate with those of people they know, the team's logger is able to guess when the person might be headed, say, downtown for a show on a Sunday afternoon rather than staying uptown for lunch. What we're giving up. What we're giving up and what people are doing with that data. It's all about the data, folks. You're going to love this one. Remember about a year ago, we heard that the new iPhone was going to have these new type of screws. I think we talked about it on this show. Well, someone made up a story that actually was a test, a scientific test to see how easy it was to spread disinformation. So they designed a new type of screw, and they posted the information about that new type of screw on the internet and rumored it that it was going to be a new type of screw that was going to be used on the upcoming iPhone and iPad. Well, it didn't take long. It was just a few short hours later where someone started tweeting, said Apple may be working on a top secret asymmetric screw to lock you out of your device forever. Followed up by a post on some major websites. Why Apple's custom iPhone screws can't stop the do-it-yourself community. Apple reportedly invents an asymmetric screw to keep us out of its gadgets. And this goes on and on and on. And they basically came up with able to tell what was going on there. And they come up with a chart. Perceived level of truth, distance from source. You tell a story to someone, they tell the story, and it goes on and on. The story gets distorted 3, 4, 5 people later. Well, the source where the original image was posted, truth level was 0. Blogs and news reporting the image, skepticism is present. Go to the third stage, commenters active in blogs and news magazines, very few question the actual image. And at the fourth level, readers posting their own opinion on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and so on. People talk about the image like it's the truth, critical thinking vaporized. So it only took 4 steps to get to a point where it was the truth. Makes you think a little bit, doesn't it, about what you read on the internet. They did a social test here, and it was very, very effective. Of course, Apple being, fanboys being the way they are, any type of rumor, they spread like crazy because it's got to be first to respond, right? So maybe that wasn't a good test, but I imagine you just do a test in your own home and whisper a story into your wife's ear, then have her tell the kids, and by the time it gets through your whole family, I bet the story's changed a little bit. All right, Google Plus is start rolling out for vanity URLs for some accounts. So the word on the street is they're starting to offer this. If you want to find Geek News Central's updates, you go to plus.google.com / and about 25 numbers / post. Well, it'd be much easier if you could go plus.google.com / geek news and get to my post on Google Plus. So there's going to be a land rush, just like when Facebook launched its vanity URLs back in 2009. And I know that I didn't get the first one I wanted, and but that's okay. It's, you get what you get. But there's going to be a land rush for these vanity URLs on Google Plus. So have you guys been hanging on Google Plus? I'm telling you, I'm finding the conversations over there much more intriguing than Facebook, for sure. Hey, Huffington Post is launching a social stream video network. This is I'm telling you, all these VCs are hot on new networks. People are creating content. So what they've done is they're starting a show that's going to run 12 hours a day. It's going to be HuffPost Live, and they're going to have fans of the site participating. They're going to do 8 hours of live programming out of New York. and 4 hours out of Los Angeles each weekday, so I guess total of 12 here. Highlights was shown overnight and on weekends. Huffington Post reporters, bloggers, and editors will be an integral part of the programming. Making regular appearances will give you a real-time sense of what is happening on verticals all across Huffington Post. So we'll see where this goes. I'm not a necessarily big fan of Huffington Post, the website itself, but this is what they're launching. So AOL is hoping that Huffington Post's new streaming video network will basically be able to set itself apart from the competition. That is yet to be told. We'll see where this leads. And let me look at the time. Oh man, I have got a stack here left. Let me crank it up a little bit. Hold on, folks. Hey, did you know that you're out there downloading stuff on peer-to-peer networks? There's sites tracking that. Well, in 2011, a site appeared claiming to have tracked the sharing habits of more than 51 million BitTorrent users. The site, if you remember, was called "You Have Downloaded," went down with a storm. And but there's a new site out there that has launched, and it's called ScanEye. It's a product of a Polish company called Kalasoft, and basically they're collecting stuff and selling it to the highest bidder. So copyright holders can view IP addresses and dig in and find out who's stealing their stuff. So they're out there tracking folks. Be aware, and they're mining that data and using it to put people in a bad spot. The MPAA, RIAA wants the U.S. to help them quash the Pirate Bay. So again, here they go again. They say that the U.S. government has an important role in countering the threats out, basically by the peer-to-peer sites and sites like Mega Upload and, Raptigator, TurboBit, Deposit Files, PutLocker, all these different sites where they're saying stuff is being shared, and they want the U.S. government to come in and do their bidding. Yeah, this is getting old as well. Hey, Google has refused to toss most of Apple's suit against Samsung. Now, that's bad for Samsung, but he did throw out four phones that weren't sold here in the United States. So the folks from Samsung are now calling witnesses, and so they're working their side of the story. And but boy, oh boy, it's not pretty at all. And Samsung better put on a good defense here, or else they're going to be in trouble. Hey, are you and your wife expecting? Well, there's a new life event for Timeline on Facebook, and you have the ability. Let me bring this on the video source here. One man shows, so I wasn't cued. So basically, you can put in here that you're expecting a baby, and to put the date and all that information in there. I don't know if I want to share I'm about ready to have kids with anybody. And once they're here, that's one thing. But do I want to just put myself out there saying who, what, and where, and when, and why? Some of that stuff. Come on, that's for family. Oh. All right, app.net met their fundraising goal. I'm really happy about that. I don't know if any of you contributed. I hope you did. We talked about it on the last show. But here's the thing to remember, and I think the folks over at GigaOM got it right. And if you're really thinking, someone asked me, are you going to leave Twitter? No, I'm not leaving Twitter. But here's the thing. App.net is not just a Twitter clone. If you're not following or missed this, you got to really read this article. This service is going to be, I guess, if it works out the way it's supposed to, it's going to be an infrastructure, communication infrastructure that's going to a lot of people with a lot of different pieces of stuff to communicate in and out with. And, it's going to be a platform, and it's not just going to be an app. And, it's going to be pretty big if we can get social networking to the point where we are with email today. And it's got to be decentralized with nobody controlling who can email whom. And we have to have an open platform. And this is what app.net provides. And, we'll see where this leads. And this has got huge challenges. Even though we raised close to $700,000 for this, this has got huge challenges. This is not going to be easy. but with nearly 11,000 people having put their whole cold hard cash in on this, and I think we're going to see some stuff with this. So I'm going to keep you advised, and got my name acclaimed already, app.net. That was one of the things about being a contributor early. We're able to do that. So we'll keep you advised on where this heads. Okay, San Francisco to JFK in less than an hour. Well, the X-51 Alpha is going to be flying tomorrow, and they hope to have this scramjet aircraft, even though it's only going to go for about 30 seconds, or maybe 3 minutes, excuse me, for about 300 seconds. So that's a little bit longer. It's 5 minutes. They hope to reach speeds of Mach 6 or 3,600 miles per hour. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. They're going to drop it from a B-52 tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll hear in the news whether or not this happens or not. A kind of a weird article. How many of you in the South have had your electronics attacked by fire ants? There's a BBC video. It's kind of quirky that talks about fire ants and tech gear. I watched this video. It's creepy. But how many of you seen fire ants attack electronics or have had issues, especially those of you that live in the regions that have these things? They can even show fire ants in a microwave getting nuked and didn't die. This is a BBC video, real deal. If you want to be weirded out, I'll have the link in the show notes for you. All right, I did a review on a couple of products this weekend. One was the Weebee Tech UltraDock V5 review, and this thing is awesome. You know, I've got boxes of hard drives, different states of conditioning, but this dock is simply incredible. It's got a little readout on it. I wish it actually would copy drives too. Maybe that'll be next. But you know, over the years, I've owned a number of devices that allowed me to connect to a bare drive to a computer, but this device really lets me connect IDE, whether they're 3.5 or 2.5, SATA, eSATA, Toshiba drives, ZIF drives, USB drives, and I can connect via a Mac or PC. I can USB 3.0, USB 2.0 if I need to, FireWire 400/800. This is awesome dock. Gives you information about the health of the drive. And it's expensive. It's $249, but very cool product. Another article that I did a review on was the Akito Neutrino U3. It's a USB 3.0 hard drive enclosure. This is just a standard hard drive enclosure. You drop a drive in there, and what's nice about it is it's got both FireWire 800, and so it can be daisy chained, or the USB 3.0. It's got fantastic transfer speeds and $79. This is one of the cheapest units on the market today for that type of a device using USB 3.0. One of our great writers at Geek News Central, Jen, she wrote up about Microsoft was going to have holiday stores this year. So don't worry. They're planning on putting up several pop-up holiday stores in cities across the United States. So it might be a chance to get in and learn a little bit about Windows 8. Hey, one thing I noticed tonight is on the top of Geek News Central, I'm not getting my banner ad in Chrome. Wonder what's going on there. It's showing up in Firefox. Hey, a teen has been arrested for trying to steal digital currency. I guess a guy's is actually facing up to 15 years in prison for trying to steal pretend currency with pretend cash and using a pretend gun. The bizarre crime took place recently at Fordham University in New York. Allegedly, the student decided to sell their RuneScape coins for real money to the sum of $3,300. The buyer initially tried to pay with counterfeit money, and they actually were trying to use real counterfeit money to buy stuff inside this in this game. And he pulled a BB gun on the victim, and he was actually arrested. And it was a real crime, but for stuff that he was buying inside a video game. So, what an idiot. He deserves to go to jail. You just wonder about people, really. I mean, you really do. And what are you thinking? Is it that important? Just nuts. Hey, how you like those gas prices out there? Ours haven't went up, but I know yours has. $3.72 average price for a gallon of gasoline in the lower 48. $3.95 for those of you on the West Coast. Sorry, I feel bad for you, but you got to see my It's $80. Fill my car up here. I know it sucks, doesn't it, to have to pay high fuel bills. This is an interesting admission by the Department of Justice, and I'm just going to read the headline. This is over at BGR.com. They're saying, "Want to make sure we can't access your private data? Buy an iPhone." Huh? So here's what a guy said. A Massachusetts Institute of Technology review blog, a Justice Department official recently took the stage at the DFRWS Computer Forensic Conference in Washington, D.C., and told attendees that the beefed up security in iOS is now so good that it has become a nightmare for law enforcement. He said, "I can tell you the Department of Justice perspective, if that drive is encrypted, you're done." Ovi Carroll, director of Cybercrime Lab for CCIPS Division of the Department of Justice, said earlier this month during his presentation at DFRWS, when conducting criminal investigations, if you pull the power on a drive that is whole disk encrypted, you lost any chance of recovering that data. I guess it's on by default. I don't know. But, this is an admission by a DOJ guy that, I find hard to believe that he would admit. All the crooks are now running out to get iPhones. Extreme Tech is running an article. Do you think you could hack into the Mars rover Curiosity? And they talk about what it would take to make that happen. Of course, Curiosity is getting a software upgrade. Should be done tomorrow. So we'll keep our fingers crossed everything goes good there. But lots of cool pictures. I put one up on the blog that was just, holy crap, was really impressive. Let me, for those of you that are watching the show, if you haven't seen this image, you have to just look at it and take a few minutes. And yeah, I've got just a thumbnail of it, but let me bring it up on the site here. And I didn't get the full view yet either, but this is a HD image looking straight down on the basically dirt of Mars. And probably doesn't look a whole lot different than maybe some people's dirt roads that they live on or out in some field. But I just marvel at this picture. And for those of you that are listening to the show, I have the link up in the show notes for you to go look at this. But it is astounding. I'm just looking at this image, knowing that where that rover's at, knowing that where it's landed, and I'm thinking, that is way cool. And just looking at dirt, maybe I'm overreacting, but it's a cool picture. It really is. It's part of my desktop now. Yeah, I'm a geek. I'm a nerd. Sorry. But anyway, they've got on this article, Extreme Tech, how you can hack the Mars rover Curiosity. Yeah, good luck with that. And the feds will come kick your door in. A T-Mobile engineer said that 99.9% of 2G traffic is from the iPhone. Wow. A senior RF engineer at T-Mobile took to Reddit and let the community ask him anything about, and basically the community responded with questions about modernization project and various other tidbits about T-Mobile's upgrade. And then talking about the 2G traffic, 99.9% are on iPhones. Over 1 million iPhones are being used on T-Mobile. Hey, remember those Bitcoin robberies or mess ups that happened early in the year? Well, I knew this was going to happen. Bitcoin user has sued for $460,000 in lost Bitcoins. Yes, not cash. He wants $460K in lost Bitcoins. Well, we'll see how this works out. This will be an interesting one for sure. But that's a space that you couldn't pay me to play in at this point. The Facebook and ACLU are telling a court a like is a protected speech. Of course, this was initially rejected by a court last year. And basically, 5 plaintiffs are taking the case to an appellate court. This time they support the ACLU and Facebook. Plaintiffs, all of whom worked in the Hampton, Virginia Sheriff's Office, had originally sued for their First Amendment rights after 3 of the plaintiffs liked their boss' political rival on Facebook and then subsequently lost their jobs when the original sheriff won re-election. Boy, got to be careful there. But anyway, they're suing, basically saying that was free speech, protected speech. And the initial court said no, but the appeal court is, let's see how they rule. Got an old iPod? Got an old iPad? Hey, there's lots of ways to offload that baby. Don't forget about Gazelle, Amazon selling stuff, Nextworth, Uzel, Totem, Apple, Radio Shack's all buying used gear. I'll have the link up in the show notes on that. Thank you for arstenica.com for providing the initial link. Science fans out there, you got to dig into this one. A star's dying scream may be a beacon for physics. And this is beyond my brain to comprehend everything that's in this article. But essentially, a star got real close to got close to a black hole that was just kind of hanging out there and having no real activity. And it shows the how this thing just got tore apart. And pretty incredible what happened in the description of it. I'll have the link, obviously, up in the show notes. The president talked to the Curiosity team and basically told them, hey, if you find any Martians, let me know. I'm going to be pretty busy campaigning. And he also talked about the guy that was wearing the mohawk, saying that he's been talking about his staff on going with a mohawk. But anyway, he had a little fun with the Curiosity team. Nice to see the president call him and congratulate him that way. Pretty cool. And that not just baseball teams get those types of calls. That the president did that for the science guys is really good. More signs are pointing that the Windows 8 on the next gen Xbox. And boy, this is an interesting rumor. There's an alleged next generation Xbox development kit that is showing signs that Windows 8 may be a SKU of Windows 8, may be the underlying power plant for the next Xbox. Makes a lot of sense, but would that be huge or what? That would just absolutely open up the next gen Xbox in a big way. Pretty soon they're saying they're going to be able to take a drop of our blood and they're going to be able to diagnose disease before you even have symptoms. Pretty good write-up on the science on this and where science are headed, and be able to just analyze a drop of blood and tell you whether you're going to be sick, have cancer, get Alzheimer's, the whole 9 yards. You hear about this guy that was out on a jet ski out off JFK's concourse, or basically off JFK's airport. His jet ski broke down. He swam 3 miles to the JFK, basically where this thing juts out into the water, climbed on the land, climbed a fence, and went into the terminal where he was promptly arrested. But the only reason that he got caught is because someone saw him soaking wet, dripping. And basically, the supposed alarm system protecting JFK did not work. So a little egg on the JFK people's face. And they actually arrested this guy. So even though he was I'm sure the court will let him off, but he was stranded. What was he supposed to do? He wasn't getting help otherwise. A lot of cool things over on Gizmo today. Prism glasses, laying in bed with your head down, being able to read a book. I don't know if I'm going to buy any of these, but it is available. But the cool thing I saw today on Gizmo was you're going to want this. And how many of you play Angry Birds? How would you like to have a little device that plugged into a USB port that you could aim and pull on a spring? This is really cool. It no price on it yet, but this thing is used to basically you can change the angle and you won't have to use your mouse or keyboard anymore to play Angry Birds. So pretty slick little device. Moving on here to the last number of topics tonight so that we don't keep you guys too long. Microsoft has announced new file formats for Office 2013. And so basically they list on how everything translates and how it cross-relates. And I just love it. PDF. You can open, edit, and save on the new Office. And that's awesome. ODF, open, edit, save. Strict open XML, open, edit, save. Transitional open XML, open, edit, save. Of course, Doc, XLS, and PowerPoint. Standard, of course, open, edit, or save. Have the link in the show notes for you. Google's updated sign-in page, making users with multiple accounts a lot easier to sign in. I love it. I haven't seen it pop up on my site yet. I can't wait for it to do so. Facebook is increasing the number of servers. They feel that they've had to, they're up to 180,000 server with the recent addition of a new server farm. So That's pretty amazing. 180,000 servers running the Facebook Plex. Motorola, boy, the news isn't good. They're going to be cutting its workforce by 20%, and they're going to shutter a third of its offices worldwide. So, boy, they have not had a lot of luck here. So Motorola is laying off a huge number of people. Speaking of laying off, the folks working in Apple retail stores are starting to find out it's not much better than working at like Best Buy or any other retail outlet. Apple has been laying off a lot of people. Don't know what the sign of this is, but they're extending hours and canceling vacation for full-time employees. But folks that are part-time have being impacted heavily in a variety of different Apple stores. I guess if you're going to pay them more, remember they were told them that they're going to pay them more. You can't have as many people working. You have to do more with less. Story of America, right? All right, that wraps it up in the number of articles. I do have a caller that called a voicemail hotline. I don't know if this was a vendor or what. We'll find out here. But let's go ahead and play this and see what he has to say.
Hi, Todd. My name is Richard Fendelman. I was just watching your HD mobile broadcast studio review, the video on the internet here, and you put together that system, which is exactly what I'm trying to do for a thing we're doing here. And it was really informative and interesting. It's answering a lot of my questions. I still have a couple more questions. Specifically the Cerevo. I bought one, I sent it back. Maybe I just didn't understand it. But anyway, I would love to talk to you sometime, anytime. Please call me. I would really appreciate it. Again, my name is Richard Fendelman. I'm at 305.
Okay, I don't want to play Richard's number. Richard, be happy to answer your questions. You can do them here on the show, too. Send me your questions, or I'll pull your number off and give you a call back. Glad you like the portable HD mobile broadcast system that we built. That's been a fantastic addition for of course, I haven't been traveling as much since I built it, so we'll get some use out of it here in the next couple of months for sure. But thanks for the call in and question on that. Let me go ahead and go to email and see what we had. I don't know how much we had come in. And today's the 13th. The last show was on the 9th. And what have we got in the stack? Do we have anything? Oh, man, you guys are going to get out easy tonight. We're going to wrap up here. No emails come in. At least I know that I copied over, so hopefully I didn't miss anybody. But as always, I want to thank everyone for hanging out on the show here with me. And, of course, those who've been here live, I definitely appreciate you guys. And, of course, Twitter, @GeekNews. Email address is geeknews@gmail.com. Hotline is 619-342-7365. Have a podcast? You want it promoted? Send me a promo clip. We'll play it here on the show for you. And, of course, as always, we want to thank our sponsors here at Geek News Central. We want to thank Citrix GoToMeeting. And definitely try GoToMeeting out with HD Faces. All you got to do is go over to GoToMeeting.com, click the Try It Free button, and use the promo code podcast. And for those of you looking for domain names, hosting accounts, we got a great deal with a 20% off code this month. So definitely check that out. I'll be in the show notes, or come over to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. As always, it's been my pleasure to bring you this show. It's been fantastic to be home this long. It really has. I kind of feel like I'm really back in the groove of things, not having to be jet lagged all the time and completely wiped out when I'm trying to do the show. It's a big difference. It really, really is. Hey, don't forget, we are right now, I'm hot on the trail of trying to sign sponsors for CES 2013. We have a fantastic media kit. If you're interested in a media kit package, all you got to do is email me. I'll send that over to you, answering your questions. But we're looking for 3 sponsors at our first meeting with our first big potential sponsor today. So hopefully we'll be able to lock in with that sponsor here in the next couple of weeks. But it's an expensive show for us. We don't go there on goodwill. We can't. And so we have to find great sponsors to make sure we can pay the bill, because that is a big bill. But anyway, we want to thank all of you for hanging out here today with me here. Don't forget about Robot Underpants, Gadget Professor, Saturday Morning Tech, and of course this show produced twice a week, Geek News Central, every Monday and Thursday night, released every Tuesday and Friday morning. Until next time, everyone, take care. We'll see you then. Aloha.